The Rush Hour movies are the kind of films you can't help but throw on when you just want to have a good time. They've got everything: Jackie Chan's insane stunts, Chris Tucker's non-stop jokes, and that classic buddy cop energy that made them an instant hit. Whether it's the over-the-top action or the hilarious back and forth between the two leads, these movies still hold up as some of the most fun action comedies out there. But what is it about Rush Hour that makes it so rewatchable? Let's take a look. At its core, Rush Hour follows a simple but effective formula. Take two completely different personalities, throw them into a high-stakes situation, and let the chaos unfold. It's the classic buddy cop setup, but what makes Rush Hour stand out is the perfect pairing of Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. Chan, already a legend in Hong Kong cinema, was known for his jaw-dropping stunts and intricate fight choreography. He had tried breaking into Hollywood before with movies like Rumble in the Bronx and Super Cop, but Rush Hour was the film that finally made him into a mainstream star in the US. Tucker, on the other hand, was an entirely different kind of performer: loud, fast-talking, and full of energy. Coming off the success of Friday and The Fifth Element, he brought a completely different style of comedy to the table, balancing out Chan's more reserved, action-focused approach. The result was lightning in a bottle. Their chemistry wasn't just good, it was the reason why the movie worked to begin with. Chan's precision and physicality paired with Tucker's rapid-fire delivery created a dynamic that felt fresh, fun, and most importantly, unpredictable. The contrast between their characters, Chan's disciplined and highly skilled Inspector Lee versus Tucker's impulsive, loudmouth Detective Carter, was the heart of the series. They weren't just solving crimes, they were constantly clashing, learning from each other, and by the end of each movie, forming a genuine bond. But Rush Hour wasn't just a hit, it became a cultural moment. At a time when Hollywood was still struggling to bridge the gap between Western and Eastern action cinema, Rush Hour proved that martial arts films could be mainstream entertainment in America without losing their identity. It introduced a generation to Jackie Chan's style of action, blending comedy with breathtaking stunt work, and paved the way for more Eastern action stars to break into Hollywood. You can see its influences in later buddy action movies like Shanghai Noon, and even in modern action comedies that mix high-energy banter with martial arts, like The Nice Guys or Bullet Train. The franchise also left its mark on pop culture in other ways. Lines like, "Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?" became instantly quotable, and the movie's blend of hip-hop, Hong Kong action, and over-the-top comedy made them a defining series of the late 90s and early 2000s. It was also one of the rare Hollywood films at the time that showcased an Asian lead without reducing him to a stereotype. Instead, Chan's character was competent, cool, and always a step ahead in a fight, a contrast to the way many Asian characters were often portrayed in Western films. As the series went on, Rush Hour became a global success, proving that the right mix of action, comedy, and star power could transcend cultural barriers. And while plenty of buddy cop films had come before it, few left as much of a lasting impact. Before we get into the films individually, we had to take a step back and appreciate just how Rush Hour became more than just another action comedy and how it became a classic. The first Rush Hour film came at a time when Hollywood was looking for fresh ways to blend action and comedy. New Line Cinema wanted a buddy cop movie that could bring something different to the table. And director Brett Ratner, who had success with Money Talks, saw an opportunity to merge Jackie Chan's Hong Kong action style with a fast-talking American comedian. Originally, the studio had considered other actors including Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, but Tucker's high-energy delivery made him the perfect fit. Jackie Chan, on the other hand, was hesitant. He had tried breaking into Hollywood before, but was frustrated with how American studios used him. However, Rush Hour gave him something different, a role where he wasn't just the sidekick, but a co-lead with full creative control over his action scenes. The film's concept, pairing an uptight Hong Kong detective with a reckless LA cop, was simple, but it worked because it leaned into their contrasting styles. Filming took place in Los Angeles, with several key sequences showcasing real city landmarks. One of the most notable locations was the Chinese consulate, where much of the film's plot revolves around. Unlike typical Hollywood action movies, Rush Hour let Jackie Chan choreograph his own stunts, ensuring the fights had a signature mix of precision and comedy. Many of the film's best moments, like Chan's fight in the pool hall or his leap onto a Hollywood street sign, were shot with minimal wire work, emphasizing his real athleticism. Meanwhile, Chris Tucker's performance was largely improvised. His fast-talking nature made his scenes unpredictable, especially his interactions with Chan, which led to some of the film's funniest moments. The production had its challenges, particularly with the language barrier between Chan and Tucker, but their natural chemistry made it work. Ratner encouraged Chan to react naturally to Tucker rather than stick to rigid dialogue, which helped their comedic timing feel more organic. The story itself follows Inspector Lee, a Hong Kong detective sent to Los Angeles to help recover the kidnapped daughter of a Chinese diplomat. The FBI, not wanting him involved, dumps him onto LAPD's loudest and most reckless detective, Carter, helping he'll keep Lee out of the way. Naturally, Carter has no interest in babysitting, but the two quickly find themselves wrapped up in the case. What makes the movie work isn't just the plot, it's the dynamic between Chan and Tucker. Lee is disciplined, efficient, and always in control, while Carter is the complete opposite, relying on bluffing, charisma, and sheer luck to get through situations. One of the best examples of this contrast is when Carter fakes his way into an underground deal while Lee quietly disables guards in the background. As the story unfolds, their reluctant partnership turns into a genuine friendship, and the blend of martial arts and buddy cop banter keeps things moving at a rapid pace. What really cemented Rush Hour as a classic was its humor, action, and the sheer energy of its two leads. The film's outtakes, which played over the end credits, became almost as famous as the movie itself, showing Chan flubbing his English lines and Tucker cracking up mid-scene. The movie also had plenty of quotable moments. "Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?" became an instant catchphrase, and Carter's non-stop wisecracks made him one of the most entertaining characters in 90s action films. The film's soundtrack, featuring artists like Jay-Z and Dru Hill, also helped solidify its place in pop culture. Between its blend of comedy, action, and chemistry, Rush Hour was an unexpected hit, paving the way for 2 sequels and proving that Hollywood could successfully mix Hong Kong-style action with mainstream American humor. After the success of Rush Hour, a sequel was inevitable. New Line Cinema quickly greenlit Rush Hour 2, with Brett Ratner returning as director and both Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker reprising their roles. This time the goal was to go bigger. Bigger action, bigger comedy, and a larger scope. Instead of keeping the story confined to LA, the sequel takes Lee and Carter to Hong Kong, allowing Chan to fully showcase his home turf while letting Tucker be the fish out of water for a change. Tucker initially wasn't sure about doing a sequel, but Ratner convinced him by promising a bigger payday and an even funnier script. While sequels often struggle to capture the magic of the original, Rush Hour 2 managed to double down on what worked while expanding the world. The film also brought in a stronger villain and a new female lead to shake things up. Production took full advantage of the Hong Kong setting, giving Jackie Chan the chance to perform stunts in a familiar territory. The city's vertical architecture allowed for some breathtaking set pieces, like the chaotic fight in the massage parlor and the casino shutdown. Chan once again performed his own stunts, but this time, the action felt even more refined, with fight scenes incorporating more environmental interactions and improvisational elements. Meanwhile, Tucker, now a much bigger star thanks to the success of the first film, had even more freedom to ad-lib and inject humor into every scene. The film also introduced Zhang Ziyi as Hu Li, a deadly and skilled enforcer working for the villain. Unlike the first movie's henchman, Hu Li was a real threat, holding her own against both Lee and Carter. Zhang, fresh off Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, had no prior experience with English and had to learn her lines phonetically, making her performances even more impressive. The plot follows Lee and Carter as they investigate a bombing at the US Embassy in Hong Kong, leading them to a counterfeit money scheme orchestrated by Ricky Tan, played by John Lone. Ricky Tan is a former cop turned triad boss, making him a more personal villain for Lee. Unlike the first film's straightforward ransom plot, Rush Hour 2 introduced more deception and double crosses, giving the story a bit more depth. The film also introduced Rosalind Sanchez as Isabella Molina, an undercover Secret Service agent working against the Triads. While she serves as a love interest for Carter, she's more competent than the typical Bond girl type, holding her own in action scenes and proving to be a key player in taking down the operation. Ratner originally wanted a bigger romantic subplot between Carter and Isabella, but it was trimmed to keep the focus on the action and comedy. The chemistry between Chan and Tucker remains the driving force, but the addition of new characters and an international setting helps keep things fresh. Rush Hour 2 remains one of the most beloved sequels in the genre. It refined the formula of the first film while giving fans even more of what they loved. The outtakes at the end once again became a highlight, with Jackie Chan injuring himself multiple times and Tucker constantly breaking character. Particularly famous blooper involved Tucker struggling to say gefilte fish, causing Chan to burst out laughing. The sequel also cemented the franchise's place in pop culture, with its humor, action, and soundtrack contributing to its massive success. The film's soundtrack, featuring artists like Ludacris and Don Omar, helped add to its cool, fast-paced feel. While sequels can often feel unnecessary, Rush Hour 2 proved that with the right mix of chemistry, action, and humor, lightning can strike twice. By 2007, the Rush Hour franchise had become a cultural staple, but the third installment came with a few challenges. After 6 years since Rush Hour 2, both Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker had become more in-demand stars, making scheduling difficult. Despite that, Brett Ratner returned as director, with the original cast reuniting for one final adventure. The film was set in Paris, offering new locations and opportunities for action scenes, while maintaining the comedic tone that defined the series. Tucker during the filming of Rush Hour 3 was facing his own career pressures, so he approached the film with a sense of nostalgia for the success of the previous two films. With the expectations high, Rush Hour 3 sought to bring closure to the beloved series, while delivering more of the high-octane action and banter fans had come to expect. Filming in Paris brought a fresh layer of excitement, allowing the film to showcase iconic landmarks like the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre. The action choreography took full advantage of the city's architecture, featuring intense chase sequences and larger-than-life brawls. Jackie Chan's choreography still stole the show, but this time around the film played more heavily on physical humor, using the surroundings as the backdrop for punchlines. Chris Tucker, now even more seasoned in the role of Carter, maintained his charisma, but there was a certain sense of closure in his performance. Both stars, though older and more established, still had excellent chemistry, but there was an unspoken understanding that this chapter was nearing its end. The production also brought in additional stunt doubles for certain scenes due to the age and wear and tear on Chan's body. As a result, the action sequences felt like they were tailored to what the actors could realistically pull off, while still offering the audience that signature rush of excitement. The plot of Rush Hour 3 focuses on Lee and Carter traveling to Paris to protect a Chinese diplomat's daughter who is key in uncovering a vast conspiracy. The movie pits the duo against the shadowy criminal syndicate led by the mysterious Vardan, who proves to be a worthy adversary. While the plot isn't as tight or intricate as its predecessors, it serves as a fitting backdrop for the comedic antics between Lee and Carter. The franchise's reliable supporting cast bolstered the film, while new faces like Max, as a key villainous figure, added gravitas to the story. However, the villain's motives felt less compelling compared to the strong character work seen in Rush Hour 2. Instead, the film leaned into more nostalgic elements, giving fans the familiar dynamic between the leads, even if the stakes felt lower. By the time Rush Hour 3 arrived, the film seemed to naturally cap off the franchise. While the humor, action, and chemistry were still present, the movie gave a sense of finality. The memorable scenes, such as the over-the-top fight in the Eiffel Tower and Carter's typical blunders, provided a sense of comfort for audiences who had followed the duo's journey. The blooper reel at the end, showcasing behind-the-scene laughs, felt like a sentimental farewell for both the characters and the fans. The film didn't try to reinvent the wheel, but instead relied on the charm of the established dynamic. It was a nostalgic experience that gave closure to Lee and Carter's adventures, leaving the audience with the feeling that, even if the series ended here, it had delivered exactly what it promised. The Rush Hour franchise had found its place in film history, not just as an action comedy, but as a series that defined its era. Wrapping it all up, the Rush Hour series was one of those iconic franchises that defined my childhood. Seeing Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, two legends of comedy and action, go on wild adventures together felt like pure movie magic back then, and still does today. There's something about their dynamic, how effortlessly they balance humor and heart, that just isn't quite the same in today's blockbuster culture. It's a nostalgia trip every time, and I can't help but wish for more films like this. Fun, genuine, and a little ridiculous, without having to fit into a Marvel mold or be overly self-aware. Sometimes it's nice to just kick back, laugh, and watch a great duo do their thing, without all the extra baggage. Anyway, I'm curious what you guys have to say. Do you guys enjoy rewatching the Rush Hour films just as much as I did? What is your favorite movie of the three? I really enjoyed the first one, but would understand if people enjoyed the sequel even more. Also, do you think ending it at Rush Hour 3 was the right decision? And did it feel like a proper farewell? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. Thanks for making it until the end of the video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Here at Inner Spiral, we aim to cover the game shows and movies we all love, so be sure to join us and I'll see you next time in the Spiral.